Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another afternoon of training. We are going to be talking about some children's fiction that you can use in the classroom, mainly for a social studies theme or a language arts theme. These are going to mostly be for lower elementary classes. However, if you want to be creative and use them in upper elementary, even middle school, picture books are always a great route to go for teaching. The first book we're going to talk about is called Where is My Mummy? And it's a little Halloween book. It is a great book for Halloween, and it also has a little mummy in it so the kids can kind of relate to him. He's a baby mummy, or probably a 6 or 7 year old mummy, I guess. And it's a great way to introduce Halloween. And so, of course, that could fall under for social studies or different holidays. And the book is all about this little mummy who is looking through the swamp for his mommy. And he meets all these different characters in the book that tell him to go to bed, and they are not his mommy, but he needs to go to bed. And it has a great rhyming rhythm to it, so for our beginner readers, it's a great way to introduce them to that. It is an easy read, and it's fun. I'm just going to read you one little brief section out of it. Let's see here. He meets the Glob. You're not my mummy. Glob shook his wiggly wobbly head. Little baby mummy, go to bed, he said. There are creatures that creep in the deep dark night, and he washed the gunk off his gooey face. So, and great pictures, so you guys can all see it. And the book was actually written by Caroline Crimming and illustrated by John Manders. I'm sorry, I apologize. I should have probably told you that in the beginning. It's a scholastic book, and it's a lot of fun to read. The other great thing about this book is that you could use it in your language arts class because of the rhyming aspect of it. And the fun part is to read that book around the Halloween holidays. The kids could come in, and you could let them wear their Halloween mask. So that would be a great way to kind of tie it all together. And you could also let them wear the little costumes. We have a lot of Halloween costumes at our house because the boys love them. So that would be a fun way to introduce it to the class. Our next book is Max and Molly's Winter, and it is written by Anne Garrison Greenleaf and is also illustrated by Anne Garrison Greenleaf. And the great thing about this particular book is that it's a series of books. It's Max and Molly's Spring, Max and Molly's Summer, and Max and Molly's Fall. And the good thing about this book is it's a great way to introduce the seasons. So as you're studying in social studies the seasons, this would be a good book for that. And it also, for language arts, it has a lot of rhyming in it. So for our beginning readers, I'm going to read you a segment out of it. And the warmest home is made, one voice and then another, and the air is filled with song. One hug and then another, and the night is not so long. And it talks about, for as far as your social studies theme goes, for introducing the season, it talks about the different things you do during winter, and it introduces how cold it is outside, but it also introduces the fun things that even when it's cold that the students could do. So a fun thing to do in your class with this particular book would be to gather the students around your pretend fire and let them bundle up with their little toboggans and scarves and their jackets, and tell them how brisk and cold it is outside, and y'all can make snowflakes to hang from the ceiling. And you could talk about the winter season, and you could talk about all the seasons because of the series of books. So as each season changes, you could bring out the new book, and they kind of tie it all together. Excuse me. Then our final book that we have is Love You Forever, and it is written by Robert Munch and illustrated by Sheila McGraw. And if you're a mom, you probably have this book on your bookshelf at home, and if you don't, get it because it's a fantastic book. Some of you may be wondering, how would you use this in a social studies classroom? Well, this is a great book for the family unit, introducing mom and dad and how we're all interconnected as far as grandparents and aunts and uncles and things like that. So for our lower elementary classes, that's a great way to introduce that. And the whole story revolves around a mom and her little boy and how he's growing and how he's changing. And it talks about how the mom goes into his room each night and holds him and rocks him and tells him that she loves him forever and likes him for always. And so as far as your social studies things go, there's your parents unit for that particular series. And then for, of course, language arts, the rhyming aspect of it. And, of course, it's a very easy read for our beginning readers. But I'll read you a page out of it. If all the lights in her son's house were out, she'd open his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. And that great big man was really asleep. she picked him up and rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll walk you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. So the poetry aspect of it is very, very obvious. And of course, the creative writing aspect of it is very nice. It's a short, very simple read for students. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And it, for a lot of our students, this particular book, if you could really make it work in your classroom, we have so many of our students that do not have any type of family life. And so for some of our students to hear this and knowing that someone does love them forever and like them for always, even if it is the teacher in the classroom, yes, that may not tie into social studies, and yes, that may not tie into the English aspect of things, but some of our kids need to hear it. So if you could figure out, I truly think this would be a great way to introduce the family unit in social studies, and of course the rhyming aspect in language arts, but it's also a great way for our students to see compassion in a teacher. So those are three of our creative books. I apologize. I had built our little fireplace to show you for our first book for Max and Molly's Winter Adventure, and my fireplace got eaten by our new puppy. So I apologize for that. But as you know, teachers can be creative, and so you can create your own fire. You could draw it on a poster board, and there's obviously all sorts of art things that you could tie in. All three books can be used as a thematic unit, and so that's the great thing about those books. So I hope everyone enjoyed the class and have a great afternoon.